Oh yeah, it's time for It's Too Late with Alan Mosley.
Decide to change it up there a little bit, Blake?
Oh, man, I'm excited today, and I don't know why. It must be the wonderful haircut my wife gave me. But see, I messed it up this morning because I just kind of, did this. Anyway, you know how it goes.
We didn't make it 53 seconds into the show, including the intro, and it's over. It's over.
No, it ain't even started yet, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of It's Too Late. I am your host, Alan Mosley, joined as always by my co-host, the #1 producer in late night, and someone who looks slightly less like Justin Bieber today. It's Blake Osborne. Blake.
Yeah.
How's it going?
I resemble that remark.
Let's go ahead and try that again.
I resemble that remark.
Okay. All right. How you doing, buddy? Doing all right?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah?
Doing good. Had an exciting weekend.
You told me about that. Go ahead and tell the folks at home what you did this weekend.
I drove 14 hours. Okay, I drove all the way down to Panama City, where my wife and I and family picked up a set of beautiful Rhea chicks from the wonderful Zoo World, which is down there in the Gulf. If you ever go down there, you got to check it out. Really cool place, great animals, great folks. Brought them all the way back to Tennessee, and now they're residing at our farm, and we are so honored to have them as part of it.
So for folks who don't know what a greater rhea is, so Blake has these birds. So they're velociraptors.
Basically.
So Blake already had velociraptors at his goat farm. At his goat farm.
It's a lot more than goats.
They decided they need a few more velociraptors. So he drove 14 hours round trip to make sure that the customers of his petting zoo will get mauled to death.
No one's going to get mauled. They're sweet birds. Fourth largest flightless bird.
They're like, I've seen them. They're like.
No, they're not as scary as cassowaries, man. They're like, they look like little ostriches.
Whatever. So I have something that I actually wanted to share in the monologue, and this is news to Blake.
Okay.
You remember us talking last week about kind of like the outrage porn?
Yes.
And sometimes you see things and you're kind of like, the only reason they put that out is because some right-winger's being a snowflake, but it's not really that bad.
Okay.
I saw this graphic and I thought this was a joke, and I was wrong. This is legit. Go ahead and pull that up. Inclusion and representation standards to be eligible for Best Picture consideration for the 96th Oscars, so that's starting in 2024.
Okay.
A film must meet 2 out of 4 standards. A, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. So this is talking about inclusion and representation of minorities and protected classes.
Gotcha.
B, creative leadership and project team.
Okay.
C, industry access and opportunities.
Okay.
D, audience development.
What does that mean?
Now, I actually talked to a couple of folks about that one before I put this in the show today to say, what do you interpret it to mean, audience development?
Yeah.
And all I can think of is propagandize. If you can propagandize your audience to think or act a certain way, then you're developing the audience. You're bringing more people around specifically to your viewpoint or worldview or whatever. So anyway, starting in 2024, you don't even get considered for Best Picture. Like, you make The Godfather.
Yeah. Okay.
And The Godfather has a low percentage of minorities in the filming.
Okay.
Of course, that was done some years ago. So let's just say, I don't know for certain, but let's just say there's a relatively low percentage of minorities involved in the cast and crew.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, of course, we're saying minorities, but let's just to make things easy, let's say African Americans.
Okay.
If African Americans make up a 10% of the population, but that's not good enough for Hollywood. It's got to be like 50-50.
Yeah.
So if you have a demographically proportional number of people on your cast and crew, that's probably not good enough.
Right.
So if you're not developing the audience, whatever that means.
Right.
And you don't have representation in your cast and crew. Basically, if you don't meet at least half of their criteria for inclusion, you're just automatically disqualified from your film being considered for Best Picture.
Interesting.
Now, the thing is that, like, I'm not really one of those big awards snubs. Like, if I like a movie and it does win a lot of Academy Awards, then I might mention that in passing. Oh, I like this movie a lot. It won a bunch of awards.
Right.
But I'm not saying that that's the end-all, be-all.
Okay, so what about, like, ethnically specific movies?
I don't know. I mean, I think, so this is what I think will happen. Basically, you have to make a movie that is just tripe, that just specifically targets that narrative. Like, it has to be a movie that specifically talks about racial justice issues, and because it specifically talks about those themes, it of course has a very diverse cast.
Gotcha.
So if you make a movie about slavery in pre-Civil War America, and then you have a bunch of actors in it portraying the roles of slaves, then by default you're kind of included on that list.
Right.
But if I make a movie about whatever, so if I make The Godfather, and it's talking about mid 20th century gangsters in New York, and it's predominantly, of course, that technically would be Italian Americans, which would technically be a minority. But you know that they would just say that's white.
Yeah.
So if you have predominantly white actors portraying Italian Americans in the middle of the 20th century, I'm thinking you probably wouldn't meet their criteria.
Right. Interesting.
So to me, all that means is that any awards after 2024 are just defunct. It no longer matters. You can't consider it legitimate. It's not. And the last point too is I actually saw a bunch of lefty types saying, "Oh, yes, this is great news. We have to." The phrase that I keep seeing is "we have to force change." That's such a funny turn of phrase. We have to force change, because force implies coercion, implies violence.
Yeah.
So we have to force change. Things aren't changing fast enough to our liking, so we have to force change. But the thing is that I always consider their methods to be the most racist, the most discriminatory.
Absolutely.
Because what you're saying is that if you make a movie and it features those cast and crew members and it talks about those themes, then it won't get its due.
Right.
Because but to me, what that's really saying is they're not good enough.
Yeah.
Because we've had plenty of works of art that talked about societal issues at that time or in a historical time, and it being an allegory to modern day.
Right.
There's tons of TV and film that do that now and have received critical acclaim.
Yeah.
But the point being is, it's not that you just can do that. You must do that. That actually blows my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know why it does, but you can't just make something of personal interest, of niche hobby.
Yeah.
It can't just be fun.
Yeah.
It can't just be funny. It can't just be entertaining. And it can't just be well done. It has to be entertaining and well done and represent what we want to promote. That it has to have that last caveat in there.
It's just what you would expect out of Hollywood, dude.
Speaking of what you'd expect out of Hollywood, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Hollywood later in the show.
Ooh.
So we better get to it. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. If you're enjoying tonight's show, consider supporting the program by becoming a member of our Patreon. That's over at patreon.com/Alan Mosley.
Yeah.
Hey Blake.
Yeah.
What time is it?
It's time for Meme of the Week.
Well, a Californian degrades your flyover state, but you have electricity.
I'm loving the Leonardo DiCaprio memes. Those have been popping up like crazy lately, dude.
I know, right? So have you ever lived anywhere, Blake, where you had like rolling blackouts?
Oh, yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Miami, dude.
Oh, you
Miami
had those. You had those in Miami,
bro. When I was a little kid, dude. I mean, the power would go out for like hours. You know what I mean? It'd be like just in the middle of nowhere. Just all of a sudden, like, zzz, and you're sitting there, and it's like, dude, is this ever gonna like come back on? And then Hurricane Andrew, of course, we had no power for almost a month.
Yeah.
That was fun in Miami. Mosquitoes, heat.
Yeah. I've seen people making the comments about how, if California seceded, then as a nation, it would have one of the top, however many biggest economies on earth.
Yeah.
And yet, despite that enormous economy, they still have basic infrastructure issues like having to ration electricity and water and having to have rolling blackouts and that sort of thing.
Well, in their defense, right now, it's pretty bad over there, man. I mean, they had like 116 degrees and now they got those wildfires.
Yeah, but that's a fallacy, Blake.
Okay.
The point being, if you're one of that biggest economy on earth, then you should have the money to be able to build the infrastructure to combat said problems and
you're right.
And everyone on the power grid be able to do what they want.
Good point.
Every paying customer should be able to get the service that they're paying for.
Sure.
They can't because A, they still have tons of debt, they still have subsidy, and B, a lot of their money goes to various other programs that aren't basic subsistence like. And it's not even subsistence because people still have to pay. Like you don't get your electricity for free.
No.
It's paying customers who are paying for their service still don't get to enjoy their service the way they want because the mainframe can't handle it.
Yeah, but you know those solar panels though.
Well, what about those solar panels?
You know, the state of California required everybody who builds a new house to now have solar panels on the roof. Maybe that's why it's 116 degrees there.
Yeah, but of course, then you're just getting back around to the whole thing of housing crisis. So they want to subsidize construction so that there's always new houses being built.
True.
But there's tons of houses for sale, and tons of people are being encouraged to buy a house who can't afford a house.
Well,
so we're right back
there?
around to square one where we were back in 2007, 2008.
It's just a mess.
But I'm glad you mentioned that though, Blake.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because so that we could knock that down. Because some of the crap you're spewing right now is the same crap that economic ignoramuses would say. Yeah. As but it's bad right now.
You need a little seesaw every now and then,
Need a little
back and forth. There you go.
You're a seesaw.
I don't defend that state.
You're a seesaw. You're an R word.
Yeah.
You're an R word.
I'm not an R word.
Want to do some viewer mail?
Absolutely.
Let's answer some viewer mail.
Whatever happened to that printer?
Literally, as that graphic was on, I'm in a group on Messenger here of some of our compatriots with the network, and they're having some big long knockdown drag out, and I literally just sent the message as we're live at the desk.
Okay.
Could you guys shut up? I'm trying to record. It's too late. And you always know something's good is coming when there's a nonstop stream of messages, and then you say something like that, and then there's a pause. Like everyone's reading that thinking, what smart-ass thing can I say to Alan? So we'll see what they say. But anyway, Jeff Johnson writes, Dear Alan and Blake, is the Kool-Aid Man the jar or the liquid? Now I've seen this on the internet. He actually sent us a little graphic. I didn't put the graphic up on the show today, so I'm sorry, Jeff.
That's okay.
But to me, this is just kind of a false premise type of a question.
Okay.
Why does he have to be one or the other? Like, you are not your skin or your blood.
Right.
That's all a part of you.
Yeah.
So the Kool-Aid and the jar are both part of the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah. So he's greater than the sum of his parts.
Yes. Well, that sounds profound.
Mm-hmm. For a blind guy.
Oh yeah. Anyway, Laldirio writes, Dear Alan and Blake, what decade would you choose to grow up in? So I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, kind of split between the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was fine with that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, it's, in some sense, it's easy to say, like, I would rather grow up more modernly because then you could grow up and get to have an iPhone and other stuff. And some people would say, but I yearn for the simpler times of life, so I would rather have grown up further in the past. Mm-hmm. By the way, I always say to those people, you're liars. It's always, with your rosy colored glasses on, you'd say, but the 50s were cool.
Oh, whatever.
No, they were not. You didn't, like, you couldn't just go on the internet and look up cat videos.
That's right.
In the 50s, so no, it was terrible.
Can I answer this one? Let me have an answer to this one.
Okay, what's your answer?
Not the 60s.
Not the 60s.
I'll tell you why. I saw a documentary on the Vietnam War, and they showed a clip where they were going through the dates on the board, My number was on it.
Yeah, so just
not to 60, son.
So just don't go to Vietnam. Just don't do it.
No.
Just don't get drafted.
It's just that easy. My birthday was on the board, bro.
Just don't. Just don't get drafted.
Sir.
So the answer is I guess I would just stick with what I got.
That's right.
So there you go. 80s, 90s.
Yeah, that's right.
Somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. Celeste Ennis writes, Dear Alan and Blake, oh gosh, I thought it was too late. What was the best field trip you ever went on? So I assume she means like best field trip related to school, not like family vacation.
Sure.
So what was the best field trip you went on, Blake?
My school used to take us to Disney.
Jesus.
That's what happens when you live in Florida.
Just the height of privilege that Blake Osborne, you guys.
Or just distance. I don't know.
Well, I didn't live 5 minutes from Disney World, so we didn't go to Disney. I will say, I guess this technically counts as a field trip. Okay. It wasn't like we all got on a school bus and drove there in a day. But when I was in chorus in high school, we went to New York City.
That's kind of cool.
And I know I say a lot of stuff like, oh, they're a bunch of commies, which where's the lie though?
Yeah.
But the point being is that I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I'm from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I had never been north of Kentucky in my life. Okay. And then I went to New York City, and so I was the typical, the big, the tourist looking at the tall building. But I loved the architecture and the sights and all that. It was definitely the type of place I could see myself like visiting for an extended period of time, but I would never want to live there because I hate human beings. Okay. And there's a bunch of them there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the best field trip I ever went on. Nice. So now you know that about me. This is what makes viewer mail so fun.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to know each other. By get to know each other, I mean you guys get to know us. We don't get to know you.
No.
We should start asking you questions, and we'll just wait on your answers.
There you go. Good idea.
I should write back some of these people. Say, hey, I'm trying to record. It's too late. Could you guys shut up? By the way, there's still silence in that room.
Yeah. See?
It's still silence. So Suzanne Sherman writes, Dear Alan and Blake, is a tambourine a drum? So she meant to submit this last week and she sent it to the wrong thread. So she did it. So Suzanne, good job this week. This is a question for a professional percussionist, Blake Osborne. Blake, is a tambourine a drum?
It's not a drum unless it's got a skin on it.
Okay, so if it's a tambourine as in just a hollow hoop with bells and
rattles, yeah, it's a percussion device. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a drum.
It is not a drum. A drum has to have a skin over a hoop, and the skin's resonance is what creates the tones.
All right, Suzanne. Well, I can't argue with that. That is straight from the authority on drums. I don't know a lot
about a lot of things, but I know that answer.
Andrew Aviator writes, Dear Alan and Blake, if life gives you melons, are you dyslexic?
Yes.
There you go. As dyslexic people would tell you, yes. See. Jonathan Carranza. So Jonathan actually wrote a follow-up to Andrew.
Okay.
Jonathan Carranza writes, Dear Alan and Blake, if Andrew Avery wrote a pun that wasn't very punny, then is he no longer very fun or even very funny? We have to discourage our audience from communicating with one another ahead of our segments.
I think they're running out of ideas and they're Googling questions now.
This is the problem with doing having a single thread where so every week, like usually Monday afternoon, I go on there and I say, hey, it's time that time again, it's time for viewer mail. But the thing is these jokers are now reading each other's viewer mail to get ideas on their viewer mail.
Because they're running out of ideas, bro.
So really they're not even asking you and me questions. They're really just combating one another.
They're seeing who can ask the stupider question.
We got to start doing anonymous viewer mail. I don't know. We got to start doing secret ballot viewer mail.
It is. All right, mail in. There you go.
All right. So last one, Jeff Johnson in Blake and Allen. In high school, band camp or AV club?
AV club.
So you actually are a musician and play the drums, but AV club, not band.
I love audio gear and video gear. I can't help myself. It's kind of my thing.
So I wasn't in either.
Yeah, you were in chorus.
Yeah, first of all, I was in chorus. Two, I don't think we had an AV club.
No, you didn't. So is chorus like higher up on the food chain than those guys, or?
I mean, it's just an alt. So if you want to have, so basically, so you have to take a fine art, right? Like that's typical public school. You have to take a useless class that won't help you in life.
Right.
And you can take art, like, art, which, no. You should see some of my art.
Oh, come on. You got to draw something for me.
I'm gonna bring something of mine in so everyone can see the slug that's supposed to be a branch. Or you could take band. You have to take a fine art.
Yes.
So you can take art, you can take band, or, so we had chorus. So if you don't want to take art, but you don't want to take band,
right,
then you could take chorus. So because anyone can sing.
Not really.
No, they can. This was a phrase. So I was in chamber singer. So I was in advanced chorus.
Okay.
I was in advanced chorus. But the point, this was a popular phrase we had in chamber, which was everyone can sing, but not everyone should.
Okay, yeah, as long as it's quantified by that last part, I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you agree with me in real time about my answer to the question to me in viewer mail.
Sure.
I swear, I can't.
I'm just here to make sure
you're still hungover from your 20 hours on the road picking up velociraptors.
Maybe tired.
So the only message, before we go to break, I just gotta say, the only message we've received when I told everybody to shut up, I'm recording, it's too late, is Jeff says, because I put ITL, it's too late. He put Italian, question mark?
Oh, Lord.
And no one else has said anything.
They're all just sitting there trying to figure out that one.
I think I kind of feel bad a little bit because they were having this spirited conversation. And I told everybody shut up, and now everyone's like, well.
Oh, you're a killjoy. See.
Well, in that case, I guess I'll just go somewhere else. It's probably why no one watches this show. Guys, we're going to talk about the live-action remake of Disney's Mulan right after this break. Don't go away. Your ad could be playing right now, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor for It's Too Late with Alan Mosley. Email us at alan@funnybroke.com. So, do you Blake? Do you guys have Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's pretty much a requirement, right?
Yeah,
for the kids.
When you have kids, if you don't have Disney Plus, you're missing out.
The only thing I've seen on Disney Plus is The Mandalorian,
which is coming back really soon on October 30th, which is exciting.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I've asked people when it's coming back, and they've said
30th.
that it got delayed or whatever.
No, that was the delay. It was supposed to come back on October 3rd.
Oh, well, that wasn't that. At least it was in the same month.
Yeah, or at least right at the beginning there. So yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. So I mean, The Mandalorian was pretty good.
Yep.
This is the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Disney did a live-action remake of Mulan, and this comes on the heels. You know, they did the live-action, they did the Aladdin.
Oh yeah.
They did Lion King, but Lion King, I always felt like that doesn't count as live action because it's all CGI.
Yeah.
If it's all CGI, it's still basically a cartoon. It just looks real. So I don't know. I don't know if I really count that one. So they decided to do Mulan. The animated movie Mulan that had remember the little dragon? Well, so it had little dragon Eddie Murphy. So he's not in the movie anymore, by the way.
Well, that just kills the whole movie.
Yeah, that does kind of kill the movie.
I know.
But anyway, so they did a live-action remake of Mulan, and you can watch it because you know how the box office, because of the Modelo virus, the box office is basically disrupted. Yeah. So they put it on Disney Plus.
Okay.
But you have to pay $30 to watch it on Disney Plus.
What?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
$30? You already pay like $10 a month for the service.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
That's actually not what we're talking about today. I'm just simply saying you gotta really think this is some high class cinema to feel like it's worth it.
I better get McDonald's Szechuan sauce with that.
Yeah, that's all you care about.
That's all. Have you had that stuff? Can you remember it?
I don't even think I had it, to be honest with you.
You missed out on a major 80s moment, bro.
What did it taste like?
Heaven.
That doesn't tell me anything.
It was sweet. It was sour. It was spicy, but it wasn't hot. And it was just, God, it did make nuggets great. Anyways, continue.
I feel a little uncomfortable. So anyway, this is an article. It comes from the BBC News. Go ahead and pull up that article right there. Disney criticized for filming Mulan in China's Xinjiang province. Now, if you're, by the way, just as an aside, if I butcher pronunciations, go to euthanasia.com/pronunciation.
There you go.
Disney is under fire for shooting its new film Mulan in parts of China where the government is accused of serious human rights abuses.
Imagine that.
Not the Chinese Communist Party. No. Oh no. All right, so get that out of there. So anyway, this is going to be talking about the Uyghur Muslims who are, they're basically being genocided in Western China right now by the Chinese Communist government. The final credits thank a government security agency in Xinjiang province where about 1 million people, mostly Muslim Uyghurs, are thought to be detained. That's putting it nicely. Wow. The film was already the target of a boycott after its lead actress backed a crackdown on Hong Kong protesters. Go ahead and pull up the. So there's the lady that plays the titular role in Mulan.
Yeah.
By the way, that picture bothers me because I know it's her whole face and it's got the sword, but the sword should be covering up her face, not
it's like see-through.
Like you're seeing the reflection of her face, but the reflection would be on the other side.
And she don't look like a dude at all. I don't care who you are.
Well, that was always kind of one of the issues with Mulan in general, is that there's always the cynics that say, but like, who's fooled by this?
I know. And she doesn't cut her hair in the movie from what I hear, so then the whole thing's just shot.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, she's an attractive young authoritarian monster.
Yeah.
She's a pretty communist pig, for sure.
Babies, yeah.
So anyway, Disney was already, the film was already being boycotted because she had made tweets talking about how she wanted the Chinese to crack down on the Hong Kong protesters. She's pro police brutality down there. So get that ridiculous picture out of here. So first of all, if you or I made any public statement saying that we were pro police brutality against protesters here, against Hong Kong, like, you're done.
You're done.
Hashtag Blake is over party. That's what you would see on Twitter. But anyway, we'll set her aside for the moment, but that's part of it. Disney has not commented on the row over the locations and the credits. China says its detention camps in Xinjiang are necessary to improve security. I bet that's always how it's sold, isn't it? It's for security. The live-action film, which is one of the biggest releases of the year, is a remake of the 1998 animated story of a young girl who takes her father's place in the army. But fans in some Asian countries are calling for a boycott after Chinese-born actress Liu Yifei, again, I don't care enough, sorry,
it's all good,
made comments supporting Hong Kong's police who have been accused of violence, as if we don't have tons and tons and tons of video evidence, just accused. Of violence against pro-democracy protesters in recent months. Then on Monday, social media users noticed that in the credits, Disney thanked a number of government entities in Xinjiang, including the Public Security Bureau in the city of Turpan and the, quote, publicity department of CPC Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomy Region Committee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is actually in the credits. The Public Security Bureau in Turpan is tasked with running China's re-education camps, in quotes, where Uyghurs are held in detention, China expert Adrian Zins told the BBC. The, quote, publicity department named by Disney is responsible for producing state propaganda in the region. It is believed that 1 million Uyghur people have been forcibly detained in the high-security prison camps in recent years, which, by the way, this article is trying to maintain journalistic integrity by not going too hard into, well, we know X, Y, and Z, because we're really talking about Mulan and the boycott. But there are tons and tons of eyewitness accounts and reports of people who escaped the region talking about the sterilization of women and children. I mean, it's a genocide. These are internment camps. Yeah. These are terrible places. I mean, this is on the top 3 list of most horrific human rights abuses, right there with North Korea. Yeah. So leaked documents and testimonies from camp survivors reveal that inmates are locked up, indoctrinated, and punished, which China has dismissed as fake news. Oh, I'm sure they have. 2018 BBC investigation found evidence of security compounds built in the desert of Xinjiang. A model's video gives rare glimpses inside internment. Mr. Zins described Disney as an international corporation profiteering in the shadow of concentration camps. The World Uyghur Congress tweeted, "In the new Mulan, Disney thanks the Public Security Bureau in Turpan, which has been involved in the internment camps in eastern Turkestan." Now, I actually had some people that I ran this by, and they said, because I had said to them, imagine if we made a film, if we did this show, and in the special thanks of our credits, we put, special thanks to the secret police, to the Nazis for helping us with filming locations and logistics while we were filming in and around Auschwitz. Like, imagine if we said that. Of course, you would be immediately you would be person non gratis. You would be an immediate outcast to society. All pleasant discourse would shun you, and they should.
Yeah.
Again, imagine if we were giving a special thanks to Stalinist Russia because we were filming in and around Ukraine during the Holodomor, where hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Ukrainians starved to death.
Yeah.
Again, you would be shunned from civil society, which you should be.
Yeah.
And I actually had people say, well, this isn't really the same thing because it's not the same type of scale as a Holocaust. And I'd actually said, you know what, you're right. This is actually much worse. And I'll tell you why. It wasn't until some years after the end of World War II before the depths of the depravity of the concentration camps of the Holocaust truly came to light.
Right.
Like, obviously the reports were coming to the surface, but the mainstream consciousness, like the world, the international community, didn't really know the depths of the horror until years later.
Right.
Same thing for things in Stalinist Russia and in the Soviet Union. It wasn't until years later that verifiable evidence was coming to light, and that Western societies truly said, okay, that's what happened. We know this. Yeah. But we have all of the evidence in the world to talk about the plight of the Uyghur Muslims happening in real time.
Yeah.
That's one of the beauties of 2020, right? Between cell phones and the internet and everything else. We know these people are suffering under the weight of the CCP and the Chinese Communist government. And yet Disney is still in bed with them. Not just in bed with them, not just in some sort of loose financial or international trade, but actually going to that province, thanking those authorities for helping them put on a good show.
Goodness.
I just can't imagine what the fallout would be if you and I did that, resulting from, communist Soviet Union, Nazi Germany. So the Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Joshua Wong had condemned Disney, tweeting that viewers watching Mulan are potentially complicit in the mass incarceration of Muslim Uyghurs. It just keeps getting worse. Now, when you watch Mulan, not only are you turning a blind eye to police brutality and racial injustice due to what the lead actor stands for, you're also potentially complicit in the mass incarceration of Muslim Uyghurs. So I kind of want to end on that note, talking a little bit about brutality and racial injustice, talking about social justice. Mm-hmm. Now, I know a lot of people have some really strong opinions on social justice, the SJWs, the protests going on in the United States and the riots right now, and differentiating the difference between rioters and protest, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The thing I want to say is that there's a lot of corporations that piggyback on these types of movements. They want to make sure that their potential customers see, oh, we're doing our part. Every Gay Pride Month, slather the rainbow flag on all of our logos, because that's going to signal to our paying customers, hey, we care. We care so much about wanting your money that we'll change our logo for 30 days. We care so much about the systemic racism that we'll black out our logo for a week.
There you go.
And obviously I'm a cynic, but the point being is there absolutely is injustice in this world. But I don't want to hear another word from the Disney Corporation about racial injustice and social justice. I don't want to hear another word from the Disney Corporation about the plight of minorities in the world and injustice the world over. I don't want to hear another word because they obviously don't care.
That's right.
Maybe they do care about some matters closer to domestic than halfway across, or maybe they do. I don't know. I'm sure there are individuals within Disney that do care about what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
But the company has signaled very clearly that business interest with China trumps any concerns about human rights abuses, so much so that they can film this movie, hire just bigoted POS actors, and do it right next door to the concentration camps and not bat an eye. So I don't know how many of you are on Disney Plus, and I don't know how many of you were going to fork over $30 more to catch a glimpse of the live action Mulan.
Goodness.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
You gotta send a message to Disney that no, how about we don't do that? We talked about the NBA on this program and sports leagues and being anti-Hong Kong and pro Chinese government.
Yeah.
It's so important to be pro Chinese people.
Yeah.
And not pro Chinese communist government.
Right.
Yikes. Anyway, we'll be right back after this. Don't go away. So we're going to switch gears to something a little bit more lighthearted after that nonsense.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Thursday night, is the opening game of the NFL season.
About time.
Now, you know me, I'm a football guy. With everything going on in the world, I'm ready to just check out and watch some football. I know that there's going to be some neckbeards in the audience tonight, like, oh, I don't care about your sports ball game. Okay, euthanasia.com/sportsball. Yeah. Anyway, point being is I'm excited for the NFL, and I know that they're going to be doing some stuff related to Modelo virus.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not say words that get us flagged. I'm trying to do a better job. Excuse me for trying to do a better job, Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
No. Can't say
So anyway, I know that they're doing some stuff. I know that like a lot of places won't have fans. Some stadiums will have fans, but I'm sure it won't be full capacity. They're talking about personnel on the sideline wearing masks, having personnel in them, all in the booths, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the point being is this is actually a short list from ESPN of specific changes for this just this year to help combat the spread of the thing that shall not be named that are just ridiculous. So this is 15 NFL protocols you need to know. No more mascots, jersey swaps, or cheerleaders.
What?
Yes, it's going to get just this dumb. So number one, electronic whistles are in. So I don't know, like you know how when the head referee is going to announce the call, he has the little pack on his belt so that he's on the intercom, you know?
Yeah.
So now every ref will have a second one of those.
Okay.
And it will be an electronic whistle. You hit the button and it blows a whistle as opposed to you blowing a whistle. Because the refs are walking around with masks and they don't want them blowing whistles and taking their... Yeah. So there won't be any... Yeah. Cheerleaders and mascots are out.
No!
So to minimize exposure to players and coaches, They've pushed most non-essential people off the field. That includes cheerleaders and mascots.
What's gonna happen to my mascot beatdowns, man? Come on,
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
It's like the best part.
What's funny is that the mascots are always in those huge gaudy costumes.
That doesn't make any sense because they're already in masks, dude.
Okay. Jersey swaps and handshakes are gone too.
But wait.
This is from the NFL's game day protocols. Home and away teams are prohibited from post-game interactions within 6 feet of one another. That covers handshakes, as well as the relatively newer tradition of players signing and swapping merchandise, jerseys, shoes, etc. for personal collections. So these guys are going to be hitting and tackling and pushing and shoving all over each other for 3 hours.
Everywhere. Just crashing into each other with
just the sweat and the mucus and
even blood. And they're not allowed to shake hands afterwards?
But they can't shake hands afterwards.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Hypocrisy.
So they're still going to have the pregame coin toss, but less people are allowed to come out.
Do they have to wipe the coin like clean before they pick it up with like a wet wipe or something?
Dude, I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Sideline reporters will need binoculars. So you know how they have the sideline reporter who's down there who like communicates with the people in the booth, and sometimes the sideline reporter will talk to like the player just scored a touchdown. Hey Johnny, what'd you see on that touchdown run? You know, whatever. So they'll still be there.
Yeah.
But they have to stay away from the players. So it's kind of like the player has to have like the little walkie-talkie in the camera, and I'm over here and I'm talking into my camera. So Blake, what'd you see on that run? And then it goes to you all the way over there.
Jeez.
Yes.
Oh my God. That could be a good thing. Sometimes the reporters are annoying.
So, and there's they're going to pipe in the crowd noise. They're not going to share Gatorade bottles. They're not going to have buffets. So if you've seen football players, you know those guys have got to be able to eat.
Oh yeah.
I bet they're eating some high octane diet.
You bet.
So obviously buffets are the norm for NFL players. So no buffets. All the players have to have individually sealed and wrapped plates with individually sealed and wrapped silverware everywhere they go.
They're going to love that.
Avoiding elevators, tons of cleanliness things. So they're going to have quarterbacks in quarantine. Really? So it's all well and good to have your starting quarterback and maybe even a backup quarterback with the rest of the team because they're drilling, right? They're going over the playbook. They're looking at film. They're getting ready for some last-minute adjustments for the game. But most teams will be encouraged to have an emergency quarterback, but he won't be with the team. He'll be kept away from the team in quarantine so that if there is a big breakout, you will have a healthy quarterback.
Like the Pope Mobile's going to drive up and the guy's going to hop in.
Yes, but just for like the last guy in line though, because you want your starter to play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bobby's in a plastic bubble in the back, right?
So gatherings limited to 15 people. So if the players are going anywhere and doing anything, it can't be. So the typical NFL roster is 53 players. That's not counting coaches, personnel, trainers.
So a strict limit of 15
strict
in your posse,
limit of 15.
Right? Okay, very good.
They're encouraging teams to take 2 or more charter planes as opposed to fitting the whole team on one plane.
Sure.
Split the team up into 2 or 3 planes. So that way you can have more seats and rows in between the players.
Yeah, and if one goes down, then at least the other 2 planes are still in the air. And
by the way, like if you're doing all of this precaution to try to keep your team healthy, but the team is together, and all the teams are doing it, but the teams are going to play the games. Yeah. So they're going to be literally right on top of each other.
I know.
Then why bother separating your own players on their own plane?
I don't know.
Like either they're sick or they're not, right?
It's like, doesn't herd immunity account for something? I mean, these dudes are hanging out with each other. You know what? But just look on the bright side. At least we're not watching everything with it's like all flag football now.
So here's the last one before we take our final break. So they also have to keep private planes on standby and additional hotel floors on standby so that if a player or players or staff show any signs of COVID at any point during their travels, they can be quarantined away from the rest of the team in separate hotels and then also get on separate planes and leave. Like, get out of Dodge. I heard you cough, Blake, so you have to get on Delta right now and get the hell out of here.
Get out of here. Oh, God. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. These dudes are sweating and smacking into each other, and then, oh, no. You cannot shake hands.
So ultimately, like, that's kind of the thing is, it's like, why do they do it? Like, I can understand some general precautions, but just with all the data that's out there now about the thing, like, why are they doing all of this? Why are they doing a lot of that particular stuff around game day specifically?
Is it
when you know
correctness?
you're going to be on the line of scrimmage, you're going to be hitting, you're going to be tackling.
Yeah.
And the only thing it's signaling, right? It has to be. It just has to be signaling.
It has to be.
I wanted to tell a really, really quick anecdote. I know we're running short on time. That I do genuinely feel bad for people that have to go through this stuff, and specifically like people. Imagine the cashiers and stuff who work at retail places, where like their parent company, like their corporate bosses, have told that location, you must do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So like Janie, who's behind the register, like don't yell at Janie.
It's not her fault.
Because she didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like she didn't make the thing. And she didn't set the rules.
Right.
They just have to do it because if they don't, then their bosses will tell them you're fired. Like they just have to do the thing.
Yeah.
So don't yell at them. Like if you want to take a stand and whatever, that's fine. But you can be principled about something without being aggressive and onerous towards other people who that their hands are kind of tied in the matter.
Yeah.
And so I guess the point being is that it's just all signaling crap. But I'm not going to. So our good friend Andrew Avery actually said this because someone was talking to him, being a neckbeard, talking about not caring about pro sports. I'm not going to let those people determine what I do and don't enjoy.
Right.
I love football. I'm glad they're playing, and I'm going to watch. And I'm not going to let the worries of the world determine whether or not I enjoy a football game.
Good. And you're going to let us know so we can place our bets later who's the best chances.
No, well, that is a thing that I typically do, but this is a weird year, man.
It is a weird year.
All the teams are going to be making adjustments that are kind of odd. But either way, I always say wait a few weeks. Never place bets in week one.
There you go.
Because there's always going to be the teams that surprise and blow out expectations. There's always going to be the teams that underperform. There's going to be the teams that just aren't ready for the season. They're not in playoff shape until later in the year.
Gotcha.
So I never bet in week one. But we'll revisit that.
Yes, we will.
After a few weeks of the rigmarole.
There you go.
All right. We're going to take a final break. We'll be right back. Like our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/AlanMosleyTV. You can follow us on Twitter. It's twitter.com/AlanMosleyTV. subscribe to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/AlanMosleyTV. So I'm sitting here powering down, getting ready to end the show. Reminded me we got to do a couple of our some of our handiwork here.
Okay.
So all of those links, plus Parler, is at Alan Mosley.
We need to add that graphic too.
Consider supporting the program at our Patreon.
That's
patreon.com/Alan Mosley.
Yes, please do.
And make sure, by the way, because it's navigating social media is just a nightmare, and goodness knows they throttle content that's not mainstream friendly.
Right.
So make sure if you like and follow us on any of those platforms, make sure you're hitting the little bell, going over to follow on Facebook and clicking see first. Make sure you're getting notifications for our content. I believe it was again last week that I had several people messaging us after that week's show saying, "Hey, I didn't see anything. Hey, is it too late to send a viewer mail? I didn't see the viewer mail. Hey, are y'all doing a show this week? I hadn't heard anything." I'm like, guys, we do a show every Wednesday. Every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on all of those platforms, you will find this program. So make sure you're getting notifications so you know when we're going online. Consider supporting the show. Consider coming March 20th, 2021 to next year's live event. Everyone had such a great time at episode 100 this March. Next March 20th, be here at the studio for the live event. You can find that over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/AlanMosleyTV. Is that everything?
That is everything, sir.
That is everything. Well, go Vols/Cowboys, but unfortunately not my Boise State Broncos because the Mountain West isn't playing in fall.
Sad.
Euthanasia.com/Mountain West. Yeah, I know. Guys, thank you so much, and we will see you next week.